Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of our live stream. Um, as always, I'm your host, Kaya Tolliver. Devrel here, Progress for Chef. I always get the tongue twisted on that. I want to say chef, but it's Progress for Chef. Thank you for joining us. I am here today with my colleagues, John Tonello and Trevor Hess. Um, Today, we are going to be talking about Habitat and getting started with Habitat for all of you guys and gals out there in Hackathon land who are new to Chef and are looking to submit a project with Habitat. We're going to get you started, get you on the right track today. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves? I know you've been on a couple times before, but we might have new people. So go ahead, start with John.
Hi, everybody. I'm John Tonello. I'm technical marketing manager here at Chef. Do a lot of work with the DevRel team. I'm happy to be part of the stream. And I'm one of the Hackathon mentors. So if you're on our community Slack channel, I'm one of the folks on the other end. And if you're not on the community Slack channel, you should join, and Kaya will tell you how to do that if you haven't done it
Absolutely.
already.
Absolutely. What about you, Trevor? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, I'm Trevor Hess. I'm one of the product managers here at Progress in the Chef area. I've been with Chef. It's almost 5 years now. 5 years in November.
Wow.
I sit over Chef Infra and Habitat and some of our marketplace integrations, and happy to be here chatting with everybody and talking about Habitat.
Yeah, cool. And you're also a mentor as well. So you can
Yes,
follow.
I am. I meant to mention that, but I
Yep.
forgot.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad to have you guys on. It's gonna be a good chat. For pre-flight checks, let's get it started. If you are not following us on Twitter, what are you doing? Definitely follow us on Twitter for all of the latest updates for Chef. You'll find some really cool updates and stay in tune with what we're doing over on our side. And also, as John mentioned, definitely be a part of community Slack. We have plenty of rooms there, but for this specifically, we've got a hackathon room. Um, we're in DevRel. You could DM us. We're all over the place, but for this specific purpose, go to the hackathon room, ask questions. We got the mentors that are that are ready and willing to answer all of your questions that are very knowledgeable. So go ahead and utilize their expertise in the hackathon room.
I was
Also,
going to say, sorry. I think that we have people from around the world that are mentors, so we kind of have some pretty good time zone coverage. So don't
yeah,
don't assume we're asleep.
right. And then one thing I know about most engineers is that sleep is optional. So absolutely. Feel free. And if anything, asynchronous communication, somebody will answer your question. Trust. So feel free to engage, ask questions. No question is stupid. We're willing to answer. If you are not already a part of our hackathon or participant in our hackathon, feel free to register. We've got 2 weeks left. You could go on over to devpost.com and search Automate for Good, and you'll find us. Our hackathon prizes this year are amazing. Progress and Chef really stepped up. We got $60,000 worth of prizes. First prize wins 15K, second prize is 10, third prize is 5. Honorable mentions, there are 4 of them. Well, actually 6. 4 teams will get a PS5. I don't know how you're gonna split that up, but figure it out. um, and 2 teams for most promising idea will win iPad Pros. So that's pretty awesome. And currently we've got 482 participants. So I'm really, really excited to see what projects are submitted. The only real rules are that you need to use a chef product to build something for good. So that could be the good of DevOps, that could be the good of humankind. There's like a really broad scope here. So absolutely participate because I mean, the worst that could happen is you get swag. If you submit a project, you'll get a swag pack. That's going to be what T-shirts for the entire team, stickers, and a badger badge. So you can't really go wrong. There's no losing here. All
Yeah,
right.
at the very least, you'll learn more about using Chef.
Very true, and that's very valuable.
And how Chef can help you solve some problems.
You said humankind. I'm also tempted to say, animal kind, which made me think of climate change, which is big in the news these days.
There you go. Yep. Automate for climate change.
Right.
Automate for sustainability. Like, let's figure this out.
I would argue both of those come back to supporting humankind.
Yes.
Say it again. That's very true.
Humankind.
That's very true. They do. So yeah, like the topic is broad, so you can kind of go crazy with this. I mean, there's really no reason to not participate. I would, except for I work here and I can't. So while we get people to start joining, let's get into a game. Have you guys ever played? I'm sure. I'm sure you all have heard of Words with Friends, right?
Yeah.
Do
That
you
would
like?
require me to have friends first.
Oh no, Trevor. Ooh.
I kid.
Yeah. Well, Words with Friends has like a stream version. It's called Words on Stream.
Like live.
Yeah, it's live, and I'm gonna start a game so we can like let people join and kind of shoot the shit for a minute. Let me get.
It's been a while since I played this. I used to have a whole network of Words with Friends people, and then I sort of faded away from that. Probably I was getting beaten too often. So
I can't remember the last time I played Words with Friends. It might have been before I moved to Chicago.
Where'd you move from? Now I need to know.
New Hampshire. I grew up on the seacoast.
Oh wow, that's cool.
does that mean you're a Patriots fan?
I think at this point I'm obligated to be a Bears fan.
Yeah, better.
Hold up. So this thing is trying.
I think the only football jersey I ever had of any kind was a. I had two. I had hand-me-down. I had a Jets, one of the starter jackets, and I had a Raiders one.
Nice. If you had a Raiders one, you're dating yourself.
Or I'm dating the hand-me-down.
Right.
Or it is a hand-me-down. That's true.
Well,
the Raiders. When was this? They're still Raiders.
Yeah, but
starter jackets. What's the dating thing?
When they were like top of their game. I'm in upstate New York, so the Bills are from for good or bad. You see people with Bills jerseys.
All right, got the link for our game.
We had a question come in.
Oh, we did?
If you wanted to read that.
Okay, Nikhil. Hi. How do you guys deploy your habitat build in production? Like, do You do that with the help of a Chef client, or do you do with other tools? Who wants to take
We
this?
actually did a whole office hours on this just last week. We would absolutely recommend using the Chef client.
Chef client. Thank you, Trevor. You know what? I should probably post a link to that office hour session because that would be really helpful. I'll post that in the community Slack um, after this stream.
I think if the questioner is asking about deploying Builder itself, you can use the Chef Automate tool to deploy Automate, Chef Infra Server, and Habitat Builder side by side. Whether you're doing something in production, and actually that whole deployment is a Habitat deployment.
Oh, wow.
But that is the surest way to have a successful deployment of Builder, because all the work is done for you, as long as your system requirements are match what the system requirements are for your workload. That's a very quick way to do it.
Thank you for providing some context to that. John, hope we answered your question, Nikhil. Um, John and Trevor, I put the game link in the private chat, and also everyone that's watching, I have added the game link in chat as well. So
I'm
feel
waiting
free
for
to
the
hop
chat
on
to
board.
start. I mean, the game to start.
Oh, okay, cool. And I'm going to start it. So I've never played
I
this.
would have to watch on your screen. Got it. Oh, answer is blocked.
Forwards. Trevor, you're like really winning the hell out of this right now. I'm trying to figure out how I even select doggone letters. Come on now. Am I not playing? Is that what that's happening? Okay. Hmm. Hey. So Trevor, tell me this.
Yes.
What's the secret? What are you doing? Because I'm sitting here putting in words and nothing's coming up.
I don't know.
Okay.
I logged into Twitch.
All right. Nope. I got one.
You stole mine. You must have
Ah,
lagged.
did I distract you and steal you? That's funny. Let's see. Let's just try this one more time. Let's try this one more time. Okay. Because that was quick. Are you able to like get in? Oh, you can't open it? Oh, because you're not. Why? You can just, can you not put that in your browser? And it says, play with Twitch?
Yeah, I don't have Twitch.
Oh man. Mm. Okay, I'm blocked. Uh, okay, we got well done this time. And damn it, Trevor, you're like rolling at this game. To
I like word games. I might do better if I was more awake too.
yeah, because it's like 9 a.m. About to be 9.
Just now it's 9 a.m.
Yeah, because we're rolling up on 10. Okay, cool. I think this is pretty cool. You won twice. Jeez. All right, so um, we have an article today that we want to discuss, and essentially, it is tips and tricks on well, hold on, let me pull it up. Let me pull it up again. Because I thought it was pretty interesting. I go on devops.com to just kind of look at like relevant DevOps news to see, just to see what's going on in the world. Oh, okay. And this article is tips for a successful DevSecOps life cycle. And I thought this was very relevant considering the fact that we are like the culture shift is to DevSecOps from DevOps. And essentially, I just wanted to, kind of get your thoughts about it and kind of get some conversation surrounding that. Says here that the the tips they start with secure coding practices, which we all know, right? But I wonder how many people actually like practice, you know? Normally security is something that comes after the fact in most organizations, which is really unfortunate because it really extends the process. Whereas if you start um, thinking about security when you're writing the code, it makes things a lot more efficient instead of having to go back. But I wanted to know if you guys have any thoughts about the shift from DevOps to DevSecOps and maybe what role some of our products play in that, and just what are your thoughts?
It's
Well, it's about
massively important. John, you want to
no. Go ahead.
go? It's massively important. We've been talking for years about shifting things left, not only in the infrastructure sense, but in the security sense as well, so that we're understanding these problems and challenges long before we get to production, so that we can validate things. We know that not only do we know that our stuff works, we know that it's going to work when we deploy it into our production systems. It's tested. We know what we're looking for. We can make sure that our systems are deployed and configured the way we want them to be, and that those configurations that we define are secure, and that those systems are safe and secure. And we can do that by defining everything we have as code. We can define our operating policy as an organization as code, which allows us to go through and make changes through a pipeline, make sure that those changes are secure, those changes are good, those changes are safe, so that everything we do as we move out is tested, built, and those systems that we're building and operating our businesses on are as safe and secure and compliant to our policy as possible.
Yeah, and it has to do with the big picture, right? Like you can't do the dev, sec, or ops independently and be successful in a modern enterprise. You have to be thinking about that interaction. I think constantly. Security isn't just the job of the security team; it's everybody's job, and
Yeah.
uh, you know, auditing isn't just the job of one team or one person. And it's really, are you thinking about all the moving parts? Not that you're necessarily responsible for them all, but are you thinking in terms of how those things integrate and should happen?
For sure. Yeah, I totally agree with all the points that you all shared. I mean, it's a holistic thing. It's not like siloed. It and and it has been up until, I think now people are finally waking up and saying, okay, we if we have security issues, they're devastating, absolutely devastating, right?
And
Um,
there's security issues at a new major business every week, almost every day now. It's insane.
yeah, right. I mean, but when you think about the credibility that you lose when you have those issues, when you have data leaks and all of that type of jazz, like you lose it's credibility from a public perception perspective, and it is a lot of panic internally. So, you know, like it's good to start. Like I'm happy people are starting to think of it, or shift that process left and starting to think of it earlier in the process.
The new CEO of Firefly McAfee, they just did a mega merger, big security companies, and he says, the only way forward really is automation. Like you can't keep up with this stuff any other way. And he made the point too that you now have nation states that are investing money and resources into compromising systems, and the speed of that, folding in AI to that, you have to counter it with tools that allow you to really do a lot very quickly and securely.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Indeed. It looks like we got some questions. Let's see. Anikit asks, hold on. Any chef feature that can help us with managing SSL certificates and auto renewals? I feel like we talked about this too, Trevor, didn't we?
I don't think we did. No, we talked about something else to do with certificates in the land habitat.
Oh, that's
But
right.
yeah, you can absolutely manage certificates using your Chef client. There are resources associated with that, and you just need to fetch your new certificates to rotate them. And I don't have an example off the top of my head, but I'm sure we could pull something together to share back out to the community.
Right. So like something with for instance, you have like a let's encrypt SSL certificate that has to be like re I don't know, what does that have to do? Every 90 days something has to happen. You have to like update it or something.
Renew it.
Renew it. Yeah. So like that would be there's definitely a way to do it. We just gotta figure out. Like, it's just putting the pieces together.
Was that question was that in Slack?
Oh, let's
No,
see.
that came up in the chat.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Yep. And Avinash asks, what would you suggest to someone starting out with Chef, apart from this getting started with Chef Management in 30 Minutes course? I know some Ansible and hoping to try out Chef. Thanks for your question, Avinash. Actually, so we posted another blog post from John, um, The Road to Best Practices, Chef Info 101. So I
and
hope
it's
that will help.
um, if you've been using Ansible, it's not an either or with Chef. Chef actually works quite well with Ansible. So if you have Ansible playbooks and you've applied them to different nodes for different configurations, whatever those might be, setting up a web server, checking other system requirement, whatever that happens to be, you can use Chef Inspec, the compliance phase, to actually verify that and do reporting based on configuration management done with Ansible. So, and you can transition those things over time, and into the Chef ecosystem, which actually offers quite a bit of other capabilities beyond that. But if you're used to writing Ansible playbooks in YAML, you can actually write Chef cookbooks in YAML, although the default Chef language is really Ruby. But if you're just getting started, you can make that transition pretty easily. If you're used to the particularities of YAML, you can do that with Chef. The challenge over time, I think, with Ansible is as you grow out to larger and larger enterprise scale, there are aspects that you just can't do with YAML. And Tim Smith talks about this a lot. Ruby's a real language, unlike YAML, so you can add a lot of logic to it. You can do a lot of different things that way. But if you're just getting started, you'll see a lot of similarities in the constructs that'll enable you to get up and running with Chef pretty quickly.
Absolutely. Thanks for putting some color on that. I hope that answers your question, Avinash.
I'm actually working on updating a couple pieces that we have on Ansible and Chef, and they do play well together. That it's not an either or.
I get that a lot when I'm talking to people. Like, I've got a few DevOps friends, and I'll ask, are you use Chef? No, I use Ansible, but you can use both.
There was an article in Linux Journal a few years ago. One of the editors into the profile in Ansible, and one of the points he made I thought was interesting at the time, that if you're a sysadmin and you come from that sort of side of the house, Ansible to him struck him as very sysadmin-y. Like there were shell commands and CLI kind of command things that matched. Not that Chef doesn't do that, but it's definitely more powerful than just running your own custom scripts that you've created in Bash or whatever. But there is an aspect of it that if you've been using the shell and you install Ansible and you sort of just extend some of those things you do and formalize them, I think it's one of the reasons people may start with Ansible. But you sort of hit a wall, I think, eventually with the sophistication of things that you want to do, while also keeping it simple and straightforward, which is where Chef really comes in. I don't know if there's something you want to add there, Trevor.
I think you covered that beautifully.
Yes, agreed. Jeff, hi Jeff. Jeff says, All teams should be involved in the auditing of their own stack on top of making sure they pass the security audits for sure. We push that with customers on engagement. Yeah, 100% agree. It just makes it more efficient, and it keeps it from being like a bottleneck at the security stage.
And you can't toss it over the wall and get away with it. Right? Like
exactly.
those, it's one thing to create software and code in a vacuum by yourself. It's a much different thing to do it on a team. And I think the key to that is how well do you communicate before you even write any code and sit down to solve some problem. How well do you communicate?
Yes.
And what is the language you use to communicate? And the terms. Is everybody Is everybody on the same page?
Right.
Those are important. That's why we promote Chef as that language that people can use, because the code itself is very straightforward and human readable, and you begin to have a subset of of understanding that runs across all those teams, so that they're able to communicate and see things. But like anything, it starts with how well do you communicate? how clear is everybody's ultimate task?
Exactly.
And don't leave me hanging.
It's a process thing. I mean, like you think about software development and you think, just like you said, in an individual sense, it's like talent based, right? But when you're working with a team, you're really thinking about your process and how, just like you said, everybody communicates and um, what the overall higher overarching, I guess, goals are for the team, and that's got to be implemented and that's got to be clear, because otherwise, again, this goes for DevSecOps, this goes for like everything. Is everybody on the same page? How is this communicated? And is everyone, is everybody clear?
Yeah, it's not the Army model, right? Where you can swap parts in and out, and one soldier doesn't need to necessarily know the big ultimate goal, right? But it's a different kind of process for sure. Not that it doesn't feel like you're in the military sometimes when you're writing code.
Especially agile.
Right.
Like it never ends.
But it's a dynamic thing, and it's only we talk about speed, and if you're not using it, your competitors are, and things like that. There is just in the actual workflow, how confident do you feel about the steps you're taking and how well they'll be integrated and how it'll move through that process, and do your builds and tests work, or do they take days, or do they break, or like all those things. We talk about speed, but it's an oversimplification of there's a lot of stuff going on. There's you're not cranking out a binary and putting it out every 6 months or every year. You're doing things in a flow that are sophisticated and take a lot of horsepower.
Yep.
And it's important that everybody's on the same page. That's a good segue to Habitat, which you're building plans and things that are codified, but things that you aren't foreign to you as a developer or someone who's part of a DevSecOps team. But you're codifying them and making essentially increasing your chances of success exponentially, because everybody can look at it. It's not just coming out of your terminal. Someone's not just clicking through some dialogues on some box to deploy something. It's being codified in a way that this works. It works with our flow. Everything is much safer. And from a speed standpoint, it's far less painful, right? Anybody who's spun up something or deployed something over and over and over again and spent a whole day or week doing something, wouldn't it be nice just to sort of be able to pick up where you left off and move from there? It's a much different sort of approach.
Absolutely. Well, let's get to one last comment before we go into our demo, because I'm going to have to make it quick because we are running out of time. This is a good one. Okay. Jeff. I think, Jeff, is this the answer to Anikit's question about SSL certificates? I think so. We're working on improving Windows certificate resources right now, and there are multiple resources for managing certs in non-Windows systems. So I'm thinking, thank you for that information, Jeff. And I'm pretty sure that is in response to Anikit's question for. Yep, that's what it says. Cool. All right. So let's get into Habitat. I have prepared a very short demo. And we'll start off with our plan. This is from my Chef Conf talk, because I thought this was like a really good representation of what the plan.sh file is, like from a very high level basic perspective for beginners. So so we got artifacts are cryptographically signed tarballs that are uploaded, downloaded, and unpacked and installed in Chef Habitat. They're all built from shell scripts called plans. And they may also include application lifecycle hooks, service configuration files, and the service configuration files describe the behavior of a configuration, the behavior of and the configuration of a running service. We're going to look at an example plan.sh here, and you'll notice that in every plan pretty much is built the same, has the same components. We'll start with metadata, and that defines important things about the application, like its name, package origin, and the version. We also have the dependencies. Runtime and build time dependencies are available. Build time dependencies are needed to package the application and are declared using the package build depths tag, and runtime dependencies are shipped with the binary, and they are also needed to run the application. This is annotated with package depths. Transitive dependencies are another one. It's not shown, but they don't need to be defined. They're installed as a part of a defined build and or run dependencies. So they don't need to be explicitly declared, which is why you don't see them here. Also, moving on, we've got package binds. Package binds in this is an associative array. An associative array. And in this example, the key database is the binding name, where the value port is a space delimited list of exported configuration that the binding requires. You can specify multiple binds, and each would be an individual entry in this associative array. Moving on to build phase callbacks. Feel free to jump in, guys, if you see if I want to add something, or if I'm need to clarify some things. I'm still new to Habitat. Everybody on the stream, or everybody viewing should know I come from a .NET background. I'm new to DevOps and especially new to Habitat, but I've done some learning. So, phase callbacks. When defining your plan, you can override default behavior of Habitat in each build phase using a callback. For example, here we've got do prepare, and there's no default implementation of this callback. Um, at this point in the build process, the tarball source has been downloaded, unpacked, and the build environment variables have been set. But you can use this callback to perform any actions before the package starts building, such as like exporting variables and so forth and so on. And the do build or invoke build would, well, you can override this behavior if you have additional configuration changes to make, or other software to build or install as a part of the build package, or excuse me, as a part of building your package. So that's pretty much the plan in a nutshell. This is like all of the configuration that you're going to need for your application. Now let's get into the studio, because that, oops, sorry. It's also another important piece here. So the studio, oop, my notes. So Habitat Studio is a development kit for creating, creating automated build and deployment plans for any application and then testing them in a clean room environment. So it removes all of the dependencies upstream from, like, you don't have to consider those. So if your application runs in Studio, it will run the exact same place, the exact same way any other place. Did I explain that correct? Cool. So here, I've demonstrated just how that works. I've got a sample node app where, let me show you. Oops. Oops. So the sample node app here. Here's our plan file. We've got our package origin set to Twitch Live, which is an origin that I created in Builder. And so we're going to deploy this. This is a very simple application, but I want to show you how to deploy this using Habitat. So where's my captions? So first, you're going to need to, of course, navigate into your project directory, and you're going to make sure that Docker is running. Absolutely make sure that Docker is running. And we're going to run the following command to make your port available, the desired port. So I'm using port 8000 in this example. And this is the command for Mac or Linux-based systems, and the command for Windows systems. Once you have that exported, you will enter into the studio and build. And you gotta let it run. It's doing its build process here, building all the dependencies that we've defined, which a lot of these are core dependencies. I don't think that we have any additional dependencies.
But you are pulling in the full tree of dependencies that you need to run that application, which
That's
is pretty
correct.
handy.
Very handy. So at this point, we should be able to run this. We're gonna load our service. We're gonna do our have service load. So what does this command do? It just loads everything to the port, correct?
So that's gonna actually load your package into the supervisor and start it running. So whatever run hooks you have defined for that application will start firing.
So this is firing the laser.
This is firing the laser.
Yep. So what you would do here is have service load your origin in your app, and then you fire the laser, and you can run have sub status to see the status. Then you should be able to open it in your port that you specified. So you see here that it is up. And there goes our application. Simple. Now you can tear it down and you run have service stop to stop your service, and run have sub status just to make sure that it has been stopped. I've got a demo of the supervisor here, but I really think I know we're running low on time, and I know I've got a hard stop. I'm not sure about you guys, but I do
Definitely
think
do.
I want to link. I'll post the rest of this demo along with some more explanation in the chat and the hackathon channel, just in case anybody does want to continue looking at it. But for the supervisor, basically, I will be demonstrating how the supervisor here looks for changes and updates real time. And I think that's a pretty awesome feature of Habitat as well. So that way you don't really have to manually build, or you don't have to manually change each time you make a change. You just have to have it running, and it'll look for those changes in real time. Do we have any questions before we round this one out? Mr. Hackerman says he doesn't understand what this is about. Chef Habitat, DM me on community Slack, and I'll give you some more information, Mr. Hackerman, if you need. Let me check our community Slack to see if there are any additional questions before we round this one out. And doesn't look like it. Cool. Well, I really appreciate you guys being on. Do you have anything else to call out before we close up?
Thanks everybody for watching. It's great to be here chatting with everybody. Thanks for having me on, Kaya.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on and sharing your knowledge, both of you.
I think all I shared. I think all I shared today was that I can play with friends.
Look, you rule in words with friends or words on stream, and we got to get you Twitch, John, so you can play next time.
Yeah. And just a quick reminder, if you have questions as you're going along, feel free to ping us in the Chef Community Slack.
Yes.
And there's mentors that are standing by or who will answer you.
Standing by to take your call.
For sure. Don't have them twiddling their thumbs in here. Utilize our mentors. They're here for a reason. So be sure to tune in on Thursday as well. We're going to be talking about we're not doing office hours, but we're going to have a debate about IDEs and who's favorite, you know, who's got a favorite and what everybody uses. I'm team VS Code. Dan is also. So we want to hear some um, other opinions. But yes,
They still make other IDEs.
they do. Like surprisingly, they do.
I use VS Code for everything, like including note taking.
Right? Like what is there? What else is there even?
Well, the browser version's cool too because you can actually embed it into like a container and have, if you're doing development, and trigger VS Code to interact right on the device.
I mean, it seems like VS Code is the front runner at this point. So cool. Let's tune in on Thursday so we can do a battle of the IDEs. All right. Thanks for joining, everyone. See you next time. Bye.
Take care, everybody.
Mhm.